As far as the most cursed, I've played so many MMORPGs that have, launched with the best intentions. They have died. I've played ones that have launched as complete scams and have then died. Scamming in the MMO world is massively prevalent. People saying on Kickstarter, give me £1 million, I'll make your ideal MMO, and then they just run off with it. But as far as the most cursed personally, it would be probably my favorite MMO that is now shut down, a game called Otherland. And if we can Google Otherland, I'll bring it up for you.
Otherland.
Otherland is a series of novels by the author Tad Williams. And they made an MMORPG of Otherland. I found it through a PC Gamer article saying this is one of the weirdest MMOs.
Right.
And you might be able to find my video on the first page of Google for this. I played the first bit and it absolutely intrigued me. The visuals, the aesthetic, the idea, it was incredible. The story is effectively about billionaires who create a virtual world to ingrain their own personalities and brains into so they can become immortal. The MMORPG Otherland was touted as being one of the first billion-dollar revenue games. It, of course, didn't get there.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Exactly. It was meant to make $1 billion.
Right.
Okay.
It didn't. Its development was completely rushed. It was destroyed. It ended up dying halfway through before being finished. But the framework of what was created was uploaded onto Steam and held by a smaller company.
Right.
So after playing it for about 2 or 3 hours, I got so intrigued, I finished the game. I am one of the only people in the world who has gone all the way through Otherland because the mechanics don't work. There were no other players. It is janky as all hell. Damage doesn't register. You get killed straight away by random off-screen effects. The game ended up deleting itself halfway through. I had to restart the entire process. But over about 6 months, I finished Otherland. And now the game is offline and you can't find it anywhere.
Oh, shit.
So my videos of Otherland and the screenshots that I took of those final areas are now the only surviving digital artifacts of this game.
Jesus.
People have contacted me saying, hey, I want to try and recreate Otherland, but I'm having to use your videos to do it by watching.
Why would someone want to do this?
The digital kind of museum aspect of it, the preservation of video games is a massive thing in the gaming space. Ross from Accursed Farms, I think, is pushing his Stop Killing Games initiative. That I've worked with him a bit on that, and I very much support that. But the idea is these are worlds that someone made, someone programmed, someone created, and many people lived in for hundreds of thousands of hours, and now they're gone.
Right.
Walking around the empty cities of EverQuest 2. And when people say to me, oh, I loved EverQuest 2, I wonder what it's like. And they go back, it's like returning to your childhood home and seeing that it's now a parking lot.
Yeah,
I mean, really is.
It kind of like falls under the banner of like lost media, you know, where it's, you know, it's not just MMOs, like, you know, sometimes you have like a YouTube video or something or a video online that you swear you saw as a kid, and then you try and find it, and then you don't know if it was like a dream or something, because it feels like it stays in that ethereal space where you're pretty sure it existed, but you can't find any evidence that it actually happened.
It's weirdly liminal, the entire thing. I mean, there's a game called Secondhand Lands, if we can Google.
I love these names.
Secondhand Lands. So I think it will probably be my video that pops up for it. Worst demo ever, Secondhand Lands. This was almost a Looney Tunes style, but adult video. So
I love the Comic Sans.
Yeah, there's death, there's gore, there's horrible kind of blood everywhere. The hospital that you go to is...
Oh my God.
You go to a mechanic shop as a hospital, and there's blood everywhere, and the idea there's like a car raising platform that you get healed at. It's extremely strange. Some of these projects might just be a university project.
Right.
So when would you look at this? This looks like the kind of game that you would see a kid playing in the background of a Netflix TV show.
What are you doing?
It's like, that's not a real game.
It's super liminal. But I play these for hours to see what they have to offer because someone made this. Someone is paying to host it. Someone wrote this. Someone coded this. This is someone's best attempt at making a game. And so I give it a fair go. I've always said, critique systems, but don't critique people. The person that made this is not wrong for making it, but what they have made is wrong.
For sure. That's
a very mature way of approaching
this. That's very fair.
Have you ever met like any players in games like this where it's kind of like desolate and it's kind of like meeting a person in the fucking desert and you're like,
Yes,
Wait, what are you doing here?
Yes, so when I was playing my 100 hours in EverQuest video, I played on the EverQuest official server. There are multiple servers for EverQuest, and some of them kind of bump you all the way to endgame.
Yeah.
And about 50 or 60 hours in, I was in a town running around. There weren't many people there. But then a guy ran past me as a frog. And I kind of just got chatting to him. Turns out he is also a brand new player. He's not done too much. So me and this frog became best friends for like the next 30 hours. We organized to log on at the same time because I couldn't take down a boss. He couldn't take it down. We worked together.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the beauty of MMORPGs. EverQuest is the world's prettiest chat room. That's what this is. It's a chat room with an RPG attached to
so many
it.
fucking menus and stuff open.
EverQuest is the menu game, without a doubt.
Look at this.
Jesus
This is
Christ.
absurd. What do you even have open?
So right now, I don't know. But if I went back and played it
You'd be able to
slowly,
explain,
I'd be
yes.
able to work it all out.
Yeah, right.
So EverQuest is a perfect example of MMORPGs, and the reason they've started to die is they started as online social chat rooms. Meridian 59 being one of the first MMOs that was 3D, had the chat to it. We had games called MUDs, or MUDs, multi-user dungeons, which was a text-based game with no graphics. In fact, RuneScape started as a game called Devious Mud before having the kind of visual aspect added to it. So these games were never designed to be games that stand up on their gameplay merits alone. They were designed to be cultural, societal facilitators, where you and your friends got together for 4 or 5 hours and chatted, went to kill a boss, got some cool items. Occasionally, you had a good time together.
For sure.
And now people don't need the social aspect because that's been taken over by things like Discord, by things like WhatsApp, by groups outside. The social aspect of an MMO is no longer novel enough to sell the genre. 20 years ago, if I said to someone, hey, you can chat to 100 people from across the globe at the same time, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now say it, that's expected. We need a game on top of the social element, which is why the social element itself is slowly being phased out and dying because it is no longer impressive.
I can't recall, and perhaps you can correct me on this, I can't remember any recent MMO that launched that was popular.
I mean, other than Final Fantasy 14, I guess.
So the
Right, but that's not recent, surely. That's quite old.
It's quite old. So the latest video on my channel, if we go back to the main channel itself, the very latest one is called Are MMOs Dying? And the video is it's exactly the discussion. The idea is, what does an MMORPG player want? That's me simply saying, Mum says it's my turn to make the Are MMOs Dying video because it's one of the most popular videos within the genre.
Of course.
What does an MMO player want? They want a massive game. They want a game with lots of content, lots of history, lots of bosses, lots of ideas. And unfortunately, that is best served by games that have already been around for many years. To compare this to TV, many, many years ago, if a TV show launched and season 1 wasn't very good, they might be given season 2, season 3, season 4 in order to correct it, to course correct, to improve. Many people say, the first season of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, not its best work. First season of Star Trek The Next Generation, not its best work. But allowing it to exist and to grow and to patch its problems and to learn makes it good eventually. Nowadays, if a modern TV show launches and season 1 isn't good, it doesn't get a season 2. To apply that back to MMORPGs, when a brand new MMO launches, if it isn't good, what happens is everyone just goes back to the established games. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, Guild Wars, Elder Scrolls. RuneScape to a degree. So now the modern MMOs simply don't have the ability to be bad for a couple of years before they get good. If World of Warcraft launched now, as it launched back in 2004, it itself might not succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez, never thought about that.
Final Fantasy 14 especially.
Yeah, I mean, there is no way Final Fantasy 14 is getting off the ground with the launch that it had, the fucking reworks that it had.
I mean, it didn't initially. That's
Yeah,
why I had to remake it.
The idea of Realm Reborn is from the fact they blew the entire game up and kind of started again. And there were so many interesting stories for that. Part of the history was that the development and the creation of the game focused on a couple of the wrong things. The games designers, the games companies didn't know what MMORPGs players wanted. There is a famous story, I can never work out whether this is true or not, of a plant pot in, I believe it's Final Fantasy 11, that has so many polygons on it. It is so detailed that if you have more than 4 or 5 on the screen, your game will crash. If you Google Final Fantasy plant pot, it is...
That's so awesome.
So MMORPGs are held together. It's flower pot or plant pot. It might be in the game. Final Fantasy MMO.
Final Fantasy 11.
Yeah, try MMO plant pot.
Yeah.
Could be flower pot. But there is it might be on the images somewhere.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff with that. A lot of MMORPGs are actually designed in the background around stuff that you would never notice. World of Warcraft is entirely held together by invisible rabbits.
What?
Okay, so
Can you
That's a
explain?
wild sentence.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, if you type in World of Warcraft rabbit, again, you'll find it.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft needed a way to link certain events happening at certain times to certain player locations.
Right.
And they couldn't work out an invisible way to do it, so one of the easiest things they do, invisible bunnies that power WoW. So what they just did was put bunnies in there, make them invisible, and attach events to them. So when a player walks past, it happens because the bunny saw it happen.
What?
This is video games. Have you played Fallout 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you know when you use a train in Fallout 3, that is a hat? Google this, you'll appreciate this.
Okay.
Fallout 3, it's either New Vegas or Fallout 3
The stuff
train.
you're saying makes me like
train
Russian
hat.
if I understand
Right.
English.
Yeah.
This reminds me of League of Legends as well. It's all
So-
coded in Minion.
How do you teleport a player in Fallout 3 when you can't just immediately remove them from the world and replace them into the world? Well, it found out one of the easiest ways they could do it was by putting an NPC on the track, making the train that you click on a massive hat on the NPC, and when you talk to them, you get attached to the NPC. That NPC runs really fast to where you need to get to, and then you end up there. So the train movement in Fallout 3 is an NPC with a metro hat.
That's crazy.
That's how it works.
That's so cool though.
That's how it works. It is.
fuck?
Video games are designed around just saying, right, can we make this work? Will it work?
Yeah.
There are so many with the retro channel.
So funny.
There are so many things I've discovered with the retro channel about how games do and don't work. Many old PC games actually tied the speed of the game to the speed of your CPU in your actual computer.
Right.
The problem with this is when they were made, computers had slow CPUs, so the game ran at the correct speed. Now, if you try and run an old game like King's Quest on a modern PC, it goes lightning fast because it's trying to keep up with your CPU, which is now lightning fast. So old games were wild, man. It was the wild west of game design.
This is.
I mean,
So cool.
I still think even now you don't know what goes behind the coding for even like a lot of modern games until developers, or it's just unlocked somewhere.
It's the Team Fortress 2 pineapple. Again, if you Google Team Fortress 2 pineapple, I understand that without context.
It sounds like you're making shit up.
It's either pineapple or coconut. It's the coconut. That was the one. It's the coconut.
Right.
So there is a coconut image within the Team Fortress 2 game files.
Right.
If you delete this, the game doesn't work.
Like, what the fuck?
People
The fact that someone figured this out as well.
don't know why.
I'm sure the coders don't know why. Otherwise, probably.
Or it's someone on the TF2 team that was like, yo,
It was
you know
a
what would be
silly
really
idea.
funny?
It was just silly. So there are so many other old video games that just have these ways of working. It's like how you can write bits of code to certain sections of video game memory, and it will use the same bit of memory for multiple things. You played Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah, of course.
Remember the missing no glitch?
Yeah.
That was simply about writing a thing to memory by speaking to the guy in, I want to say Viridian Forest, before Viridian Forest, and then flying Cinnabar Island and surfing up and down.
Yep.
The game wrote a bit of data to memory because of your conversation with that man, and then when you next caught a Pokemon, it used the last known bit of data to work out the Pokemon's number. That number doesn't exist. And so you got missing no instead, which is why it created it. Video games are a wild west of design.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually. And I remember going down a deep rabbit hole of that. And apparently, like, that's just one instance of that glitch happening. But depending on what you do right before you fly to Cinnabar Island, you can actually trigger a bunch of other versions of Missing No. And like,
So you can catch
just,
Mew.
You just spawn like any Pokemon.
You can
basically.
actually catch Mew in the original Red and Blue games without using any of the Game Shark codes by talking to a specific trainer at a certain time and then walking up and down in a specific bit of grass, because the conversation sets a flag to a value, and that value is then used when you next run into a random Pokemon. But all this stuff is what I have discovered by reviewing retro games and playing too many MMORPGs.
Do you ever get bored of MMOs?
Absolutely, which is why I have the second channel, without a doubt. So we don't even know what an MMO is. My
Like that
greatest
style
guess,
of-
my greatest guess is it's a game with fishing That's it. That's
It's a game of fishing.
It's a game of fishing.
Shit, that's
RuneScape
like-
has fishing. Final Fantasy 14 has fishing.
Yeah.
Warcraft has fishing. It's the connecting narrative. That's what it is.
You
It's
always
like
have to
all
have fishing.
JRPGs now as well, man.
Yeah, you gotta have fishing. You've gotta have fishing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine because you've played so many MMORPGs, the thought of like having to sink 100 hours into potentially something that will just absolutely bore me the entire time. And then I have to then not only spend the 100 hours, I have to
It's
then
the
edit the
editing.
video
Yeah. That's what
about
people-
the 100 hours.
That's what people do not get. And this is why I've let other people edit my videos before a couple of times. I've got some editors that I work with.
Yeah.
But when people say to me, okay, here's 100 hours of footage, here is where I want you to put every bit of footage for every bit of script and every bit of thing, it's quicker for me to do it. It's just, it's
that's
quick. I know
fair.
exactly what's going to happen at what point, so I'll just do that. So when people say, oh yeah, playing 100 hours is nothing, it's difficult, but you can do it in 10-hour days over 10 days and then editing for the next 2 to 3 weeks
Again,
to
you
make
make
it work.
that sound easy.
Yeah.
I make it sound normal because unfortunately within the kind of gaming sphere I'm in, it's been normalized. Someone will look at me and go, oh, you're only playing for 10 hours a day, you absolute casual. Play for
That's
12
true,
hours
that's
a day,
true.
why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you grinding the entire time?
You don't need sleep.
But the reason that people watch my videos is simply because they don't want to play the
No,
game
no,
for 100
no,
hours,
I
but they
know.
do want to know what
You
happens.
suffer so
Yeah.
they don't have to.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
is why there is a YouTuber called Grand Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
Grand Pooh Bear, he
yeah.
plays the old classic NES games. I love his stuff because I don't want to finish Turtles on the NES.
Yeah.
No.
But I want to watch someone finish Turtles on the NES. Someone's going to do it. Of
course.
And that is the area that I'm in. People don't want to watch bad anime, but I forced myself to watch all of, I think it was called Gibiate.
Oh yeah, GBR.
Oh,
Yeah, it was terrible.
Chibata.
It was absolutely terrible,
Yeah.
but I was morbidly curious for how bad it can get. And halfway through, I think
Out
I
of all
really...
the anime you chose to watch,
I
that
know.
one?
Right, so
Are
my...
you trying to live your life consuming only the worst things for you?
That's what I realized halfway through watching Gibiate. I was watching this going, I'm only doing this because I'm curious as to where it goes to, but I've
Yeah.
not watched Evangelion. I could go and watch that instead. Since I've been in Japan, I have watched all of Evangelion
Hell yeah.
except the movies, the OVAs.
Oh, the new ones?
Haven't seen the end of Evangelion, haven't seen the new stuff either, but
Oh,
I've seen
okay,
the
okay.
26
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
It was good.
So
I
you've
enjoyed
seen,
it.
So you've seen the OG.
Yeah.
But you've seen
Yeah.
GBR.
Yeah, I've
You've
seen
seen this,
Gibiate.
which I
Why
remember
did you
is
watch
basically the shovelware of anime,
terrible.
I guess.
Yeah, it's what I've always described GBR is this is what JoJo must look like to people who hate JoJo.
Yeah, the problem is because I've played so many crap MMOs, I kind of felt at home. Like I was watching it going, this is dire. I get this. I feel comfortable
that's-
here.
that's
get
not
it. No, I
good,
get it
Josh.
because I've slowly started to turn into the dude that watches all of the terrible anime. I mean, I did a video where I watched the 100 worst rated anime.
Nice. See, people want to watch that.
Yeah, and people love that video because it's like, I'm glad you did it and not me.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I'm in the position that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
People don't want to play through these massive... If a new game releases, a new RPG, and it says, this game's 200 hours long, that's no longer impressive to me. If a game comes along and says, hey, this is 6 hours, but it's good. Good. Stick it on my PC. I want to play it.
Yeah.
I will. Someone said to me, oh yeah, Soul River 1's only 6 hours. I'm like, you shut your mouth. It is 6 perfect hours. It is exactly what we need a game to be. That's what we need more of.
I mean, the one thing people don't have time, don't have nowadays is just time. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
Time is the big
Totally.
one. And I think the MMORPG genre really exemplifies this with it exploded. World of Warcraft came out in 2004 and it absolutely exploded over the next, I want to say 10 years. So about 2014, we got the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. People still hold those as like the pinnacle of the genre. A lot of people who played it at that time were either in college or in school or in university or out of work, or they had jobs that allowed them the free time to do it.
Yep.
And now that player group is aging out. That player group is mid-30s, early 40s. Kids don't want to play MMORPGs because if you say to a kid, hey, do you want to play this game where nothing happens for the first 50 hours?
Yeah, it's
They're going to say, no, I want to go and play a better game,
Yeah.
a faster game, a good RPG.
I want to play Fortnite.
Yeah, I want to play Fortnite. I want to play Looter Shoot or something like that instead. So the MMORPG genre has aged with its audience, but it's not kept up with the new, more modern audience.
Yeah. What's your opinion of gacha games? I'm so curious.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a weird...
Are those MMOs?
Are we talking the games like kind of Genshin Impact?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Genshin,
yeah, yeah.
Honkai, all the
so
waifu games.
I think I've made a video on Genshin Impact called... what was it? Legend of Gacha Breath of the Waifu. I think I called it.
okay,
Which is the
brilliant,
joke, 'cause
yes.
it came out around the same time.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
that's
Zelda
kind
came
of
out.
that kind of was its selling point when it
yeah, it
released.
was. It's Anime
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
It's just on the main one. And I played that through. So I have been kind of very much exposed to the Western idea of MMORPGs, which is quite greedy, as in They must be free. There must be absolutely no cash shop. And if your game is fantastic, I might consider giving you a shiny penny. That's the kind of attitude that the gamers in the West have.
Yeah.
The Eastern values, from what I've seen, is I will go to work, I will work hard, I will earn money, and then if I want to spend the money I have earned on the game I enjoy, that is my way of supporting the game, showing my love for it. And instead of spending 10 hours in the game, I've spent 10 hours at work and then spent that money on the game for 10 hours worth of progress. People say to me, you
That's
shouldn't...
actually a good way.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
People say you shouldn't be able to give any money for a game to be pay to win.
Yeah.
If you spend 100 hours playing a game and you get a good item,
Yeah.
could I go to work for 100 hours, spend the money that I've earned from doing that on the same item and be at the same place as you? Should that be allowed? Now, the Western view is very much no.
Yeah.
The game is the game and no amount of money should be able to change that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Eastern view seemed to be much more kind of healthy and around the idea of, well, if I spend my money on the game, I get better. There was the anime, was it Shangri-La Frontier?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
there is the kind of pay-to-win aspect within the anime itself, and everyone's kind of fine with that.